So just thank you for joining us today for the 2024 Workways Australia Annual General Meeting. My name's Carleen McCaskill. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Workways, Acting Chief Executive Officer, and I'm dialing in today from Gunai country. So I extend a warm welcome to everyone who is joining us today on Teams and across Australia, including our community and funding partners, valued guests, our staff, and of course our Board of Management. In particular, I welcome Ariana Gutta from the University of Queensland, Philip Souter, independent member of our Audit and Risk Committee, and board directors Marlene Elliott, Ross Morgan, Jenny Semple, Melanie Woodward, John Websdale, outgoing director Angela Hudson, and incoming director Peter Langkamp. We also note an apology from Kath Mandler, the CEO of NISA. We are pleased to have staff joining us from across our Workways and Invite sites in New South Wales, Queensland and Victoria. If at any time throughout the meeting you have a question for Russell or myself or any other member of the Board of Directors, please use the Q&A function at the top of the screen, and we'll make sure that we have time towards the end of the meeting to answer any questions. Of course, if you'd prefer to ask a question outside of this forum, you can send that through to the Workways email address on inquiry@workways.com.au. If there are any technical difficulties, as we've already experienced, we will be recording the meeting and this will be available on our website after the meeting. So thank you again for joining us. I now welcome proud Japulgari man, Jacob Harvey, and I do hope I pronounced that correctly, Jacob, to deliver an acknowledgement of country on behalf of the board and staff. Thank you, Jacob. Just need to unmute Jacob, sorry.
My apologies, everyone. You've done well, Carly. So I would like to start today's meeting by acknowledging the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people of Australia, as they are the traditional custodians of the land that we live on, live and gather on, and recognise their continuing connection to land, waterways and community. I live on land of the Gunai and Kurnai people. I pay my respect to my elders, past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, traditions, cultures and hopes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. I also extend my acknowledgement of other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people present here and pay respect to the land that they live and work on. I would also like to acknowledge that sovereignty has never been ceded. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacob. Just checking in, Russell, are you back with us? Not as yet. Okay. We're going to start with a guest speaker today, Ariana Gutta from the University of Queensland. So we wish to welcome her today. So Dr. Ariana Gutta is a research fellow at the School of Economics and the Centre for Policy Futures at the University of Queensland. Her research explores labour market discrimination and the effects of policy design on marginalised groups, including those experiencing unemployment and homelessness. She specialises in quantitative and experimental methods applied to real-world challenges. Dr. Gutta has a strong track record of external collaborations, including with Workways, as well as Anglicare Southern Queensland, the Italian Bureau of Statistics, and the Italian Federation of Organisations for the Homeless. Dr. Gutta and her team have recently worked with Workways on a research project exploring the needs and perceptions of employers when engaging with employment services providers. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Gutta today. Thank you, Adriana.
I just wanted to indeed also join for you in acknowledging the traditional owners of the land, especially for me, where I live and work with the Turtle people in Brisbane. And a particular, sorry, I think I didn't share the slides probably. Here we go. And yeah, particularly welcome to all the Indigenous people attending the meeting today. Carly already introduced me, so I'll go straight into talking about our collaboration together. Our journey indeed, as I mentioned earlier, but I didn't know if you could hear me. Apologies again about that. You can't hear me again, let me know. So our journey starts at the National Employment Services Australia conference, where I first met with Tracy Crowell, that connected me and my team with Ria, Thornton. So you're a wonderful national business growth manager. And during our first call with Ria, we immediately could feel the commitment of Workways towards providing better outcomes for their clients and the genuine willingness to understand what works and also share their expertise. And all of these are absolutely fundamental elements for a successful partnership. And importantly, we also soon realized that we both wanted to understand the same thing. That is, what do employers want? And currently, I mean, there's a lot of emphasis on clients, but we know a lot less on what works to get employers on board. And motivated by this, we applied and successfully received a research grant from the University of Queensland to understand employers' perspective of employment services, the services they offer, and also of the clients that come are referred by employment services providers. Our starting point, so weekly meetings with Ria. So essentially, to make sure we get everything right. This is particularly, we acknowledge that there's a lot of expertise that sits with your organization that we need to understand to get everything, to understand all the rest, so all the pieces of this puzzle. And then we worked together on 3 data collections. So the first we did a qualitative study, so interviews with employers and clients. And we actually sat at the Stones Corner office in Brisbane. We were hosted by the lovely team led by Dr. Williams that I really want to thank. They provided invaluable support in helping us talk to clients and hear their experiences. And also, employers instead were interviewed mostly online, and employer engagement offices in Brisbane were very, very important for us to find ways to talk to employers. And after this, so with the information we gathered from this step, essentially, we built a scenario experiment that involved both employers from Workways and also from a survey provider. And we have about 1,500 employers that rated fictitious candidates' profiles. So essentially, we're simulating a hiring process and to understand what kind of programs and also what ways of referring people work best to get candidates an interview. So, and Natalie Williams has been supporting us in crafting the email invites and sending out the surveys to Workways employers. So a big shout out to her. And finally, actually, all of this work we've been doing together. So it doesn't end here. It led us to approach the Department of Employment and Work Relations to get access to the administrative data that sits at Workways, but also more broadly, employment service provider space. So we are in an ongoing negotiation with the department that was supported by the great work of Ria and Charlene Baker. Also, I want to thank for getting us this far. And yeah, but then what did we find? So we are still processing a lot of the data that we have and trying to make sense of it. So starting from the qualitative interviews, so as I mentioned before, we interviewed employees and clients. So employees on one hand indeed appreciate the number of services, for example, negotiate, I mean, the fact that employment consultants can negotiate on behalf of them sometimes, or can provide employment services, can cover for work-related expenses and provide support plans for newly hired employees. At the same time, though, employers also feel that they are screening an incredibly large amount of applications from people that sometimes don't want genuinely to get a job, at least from their point of view, and that apply for work only because they need to receive government payments. And At the same time, they also sometimes feel distrust toward employment consultants that seem to be at times motivated more by the need of having to put people in employment than genuinely meeting essentially their specifications for a particular job. At the same time, we have the client side of this. So this is the employer side. On the client side of things, clients feel that they experience, they've been talking to us about not finding enough suitable jobs for the particular situation. For example, particularly this is true for clients with health challenges, experiencing domestic violence. So not enough opportunities that they think are suitable for them. And also like they feel actually shame and find it motivating the fact that they have to apply times for jobs that they know might not be the first, it might be not suitable for them essentially. It's interesting to observe how indeed the two parts here both actually are talking about the issue that arise as a result of the mutual obligations essentially, that indeed on the side of employers frustrates them because then they have to review applications from candidates that presumably are not motivated for that particular job, and on the side of clients, it pushes them towards employment that maybe is not suitable for that particular circumstances. And yeah, again, I guess this is a tension that a lot of you in your work are familiar with. I'm sorry, I'm going back to this just because I wanted to mention that this is a lot of it is part of the design of how the system is being designed, especially higher up, the Workforce Australia contract, and it's all the rules that are around it. In terms of the survey that we did, so as I mentioned earlier, we ran also a survey of employers, of recruiters. So this kind of reflects a bit what I mentioned earlier. So employers find that post-placement support and work-related expenses, so the ability of employment services to provide this kind of services, and communication support, so the negotiation with, so facilitating the negotiation between employees and the new hire and the employer are things that are welcome. On the other end, though, again, there's a perception that the candidates put forward are sometimes less skilled, less motivated, or less likely to be suitable for the job in general than other candidates. But then finally, what happens when we actually show employers some profiles? Some I mentioned earlier that we propose to employers some fictitious profiles to evaluate of people that are put forward in different ways by employment consultants, that participate in volunteering, in training, and a number of different things. And what we find is that, so what does get employers to say, oh yeah, I'm likely to invite for an interview this person. So when referring a candidate, we find that emphasizing their communication and soft skills actually is more likely to get them an interview than anything else. And when I say anything else, I mean than even that a direct application or an employment consultant, for example, suggesting that they're going to pay for expenses or support plan or even a subsidy, provide a support plan or even a subsidy. So we find that is at least. Also, we know that sometimes your clients have significant gaps in their resumes, and it's important to explain to employers why, so to frame that well. And we find that if someone has been out of work with mental health, some mental health issues, it's actually better to say nothing than to mention that. Whereas if this person had a physical injury, actually it's it's fine. So employers don't raise red flags for that, but they do for the mental health side of things, which I found interesting. On the other hand, if your client, for example, was out of work because of caring responsibilities or a firm shutdown, do say that, because this actually improves chances of getting an interview compared to saying nothing, so to being evasive. And finally, and here I conclude, and hope I haven't gone too much over the time. Unsurprisingly, and I think this aligns with the experience of probably a lot of consultants as well, older workers and those that have significant gaps, so 2 years of unemployment or more, are less likely to be invited for a job interview compared to providers that are similar but younger or shorter spells of unemployment. And this is just the beginning of it. Stay tuned for more insights in 2025. So I will go ahead with analyzing all of these data we collected in the past year. And yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that this work with Workways has genuinely been an opportunity for mutual learning, and we'd love to continue working with Workways and support the advancement of knowledge in the sector. Thanks.
Carly, I believe I might now be on. Would that be right?
You are. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you very much, Adriana, and sorry for the technical difficulties before was stopping me getting in. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Russell Needham. I'm chair of the board of Workways Australia. Today I'm dialing in today from Walgarukaba country. That's up in North Queensland for those who are not quite sure where that is. Thank you, Carly, for filling in while I was having all those technical difficulties. So what we'll do is we'll keep moving through the meeting. And what we have, we've got 7 resolutions that we'll gradually work our way through. These resolutions have been put to members already through circular resolution, and we will just formally adopt them as we go through each one. So the first resolution is the confirmation of the minutes of the AGM, which was held on the 22nd of November 2023. The resolution is that the minutes of the 2023 annual general meeting held on the 22nd of November 23 be accepted as an accurate record of the meeting. That was moved by Ross Morgan, seconded by Jenny Semple, and all were in favour. I'll now move on and provide a chairperson's report. This report for the year ended June 30th, 2024 has been included in our annual report, so I will take it as being read. I will, however, just go through and highlight some of the key points. So on behalf of the Board of Directors, I'm pleased to present this report to members, staff, clients and key stakeholders. So the year has once again been a difficult one and not without its challenges. But our 2 main employment services contracts, Workforce Australia and TTW, have well and truly established and are performing well and have maintained a strong profile in the sector. At the start of the year, we completed a final transition away from our relationship with COACT. And while this has enabled us to forge our own destiny, it hasn't been without cost. Notwithstanding this, we've invested time and money into building relationships with stakeholders and continue to build our profile in both the employment services and environmental sectors. We believe that this work has strengthened our ability to deliver on existing contracts and tender for new ones that enhance our core mission, that is to deliver economic, social, environmental benefits to the community by enabling people to participate in the workforce, develop their potential and contribute to society. So the year that was 2024 As I said before, we've had plenty of challenges. We've borne a number of extraordinary costs, and this has led to a higher than expected deficit. But the board, together with the EMT, have worked through the implications of this to ensure our financial stability. This body of work, although time-consuming, is a credit to the resilience and the culture of our organisation. At our strategic planning session in April, the board, EMT and senior leaders reviewed the previous 12 months, and we've carefully considered our approach to the next 12 months and then the completion of our strategic plan until 2027. The next 12 months will be one of building on our two existing employment services contracts and moving to tender, which we've now completed, on new contracts in disability services. In addition to this, we're in the throes of a review and enhancement of our environmental arm and adding new geographical areas to current ones. We've got plenty of exciting things happening in the next 12 months. Throughout the last couple of years, we've continued to strengthen our Workways brand in Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria, with ongoing contracts and improved stakeholder engagement across a broad spectrum. Our two subcommittees, Audit, Risk and Governance, continue to be an integral part of the board's oversight. They are working well on the business with our EMT, internal and external auditors, and that as board, we're receiving regular reports from consultants, EMT and other parties on cybersecurity, risk framework, along with many others. I'd like to thank our independent members who have contributed very much to ARC throughout the year, and our independent member to GC prior to her retirement from that position a little earlier. We continue to look for an independent GC member, but each have provided invaluable contributions, so thank you very much. We've kept working throughout the year on our own board KPIs to improve our own capabilities. We've recently completed an internal board performance review survey, which has provided feedback to both the board and the EMT. We continue to work through the implications of this, and that will help us to further enhance our performance. At the same time, we have reviewed our board skills with a new board skills matrix, and this has been completed and given us insight to assist in our current board recruitment process. Financial stability is a very important pillar of the whole organisation. And as I said before, 2024 has been a difficult year with a significant deficit result. This deficit result has impacted our net equity, but over the last 6 months, we've all worked hard to improve performance, enhance revenue streams, and closely manage costs. I will talk a little bit more when we adopt the audited financial statements about where we landed at the end of June 2024. The strategies that we are working on that I just mentioned are having positive results so far into the new financial year. A big thank you to all the people who are contributing to that. Even though our balance sheet was impacted by the financial year result, it remains strong. Notwithstanding this, we need to continue monitoring all aspects of the business and make sure we work on viable, sustainable programs. We've recently adopted the recently adopted strategic plan for the next 3 years to 2027 exemplifies this. So in the year ahead, with positive results already so far this year in our employment services contracts and in our environmental arm, they hold us in good stead for improving our financial stability and financial position. Envite continues to grow into new regions, which is encouraging and a sign of the commitment of the team in Envite. The current review of the business and its structure will help improve the important arm of this business as we strive to more consistency with profitability in the environmental arm. On the 4th of October 2024, DSS released the request for tender of the new Specialist Disability Employment Program, and I'm pleased to say that we have tendered in 7 regions throughout Victoria and Queensland. Success in these potential contracts is an important pillar of growth in the employment services sector. We await the results of these tenders with optimism, knowing the work that has been put into the tender process by a very dedicated group of our staff. Throughout the year, we will continue to explore targeted opportunities to grow the business and provide opportunities for all our staff and continue to achieve the best outcomes for our customers. It also means that we will continue the improvement of our social environment impact through service delivery across all programs. The development of a recent joint venture in the employment services sector is a very clear example of the opportunities that we're looking for. Our staff is our greatest asset, and as a top strategic priority, we will continue to invest in our people and foster a culture of empowerment and accountability. We have an expected outcome that continues to develop a highly capable workforce. This, of course, also includes our board, who also have the same commitment to improving through learning and development training. I now come to some board changes. So throughout the year, there were no specific board changes or changes in the composition of the board. But at this meeting today, we have one of our long-standing directors, Angela Hudson, retiring. But we also welcome Dr. Peter Langkamp to our board. I will say a few more words about this a little bit later on when we adopt the resolution for the appointment of Peter. Our leadership and staff. So at the end of September this year, our CEO of nearly 5 years, Kieran Kearney, finished with us, having resigned his position in July. In his time with Workways, Kieran has led from the front and dealt with many challenges with a high level of professional acumen. He's responsible for providing the leadership to positively change the culture of our organisation, build new contracts, and push towards rebuilding our own brand. Kieran will be very much missed, and we wish him well in his new venture away from the employment environmental sectors. In place of Kieran, we've appointed Carly McCaskill as our acting CEO. Carly brings plenty of knowledge and experience to the position, having worked with us for a number of years. I've previously said welcome to Carly, but welcome again, Carly. So throughout the year, our CEO, together with the executive management team and senior leaders, have helped us navigate another difficult and challenging year. Together with our hardworking staff, I'd like to thank you very much for an outstanding effort, for your commitment, which has been exemplary as we strive to fulfil our mission and core values. Thank you very much for your time. That's my report for the 2024 year. And I would now like to invite our acting CEO, Carly, to deliver the CEO report. Thanks very much, Carly.
Thank you, Russell. And thank you, Ariana, for your wonderful presentation. We look forward to hearing the results of the research next year. And Ian Stiach, who is one of our guest speakers later on today, please do stay on for that. He's got a fantastic presentation that I'm sure you'll all enjoy very much. So I also wanted to say thank you to Jacob, who led us in today's acknowledgement of country. So Jacob is a talented employment coach who works for us in the Latrobe Valley, but he's recently moved into a new role of Indigenous mentor, supporting our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander participants on their employment journey. So thank you very much, Jacob. We're very much looking forward to what you can do in that space. So on that point, Workways remains deeply committed to reconciliation, with our Reconciliation Action Plan Committee working this year on moving from a Reflect Action Plan to an Innovate Action Plan in consultation with Reconciliation Australia. Auntie Frida and Auntie June continue to support our participants in Brisbane, and we are indebted to them both, as well as Uncle Joe and Auntie Sarah, for the ongoing guidance and support they give to our organisation to ensure we're providing culturally safe services. So whilst, as Russell had mentioned, this year has been challenging from a financial perspective, however, the changes we've made cement our independence and allow us to reshape the future of the organisation. This is vitally important given the launch in 2025 of the new Specialist Disability Employment Program and other wholesale changes impacting employment services in Australia. So this year's deficit was driven by a range of extraordinary expenses related to the exit from COACT subcontract, including redundancies, site exits and legal fees, alongside increased consulting fees to support complex areas of the business such as industrial relations, finance and ICT. Lower than expected revenue and invite caused by significant weather events in northern New South Wales and southern Queensland did impact the end of year result, with revenue expectations carrying over into the new financial year. Invite remains an area of focus, purpose and potential growth for the organisation. And as such, Workways has invested in an extensive review of the business with consultants, the Home Collective. The results of this review are due in the coming weeks, and we do look forward to working with the team to implement the recommendations. And given there's such a strong focus on climate change resilience and environmental recovery at a federal and state level, we are very well placed to respond to those future needs. So, and still on Invite, the positive reputation in the community of Invite continues to be recognised and across industry. So our work restoring bushfire impacted Bungawalbin National Park in partnership with traditional owners was recognised at the 10th World Conference on Ecological Restoration, where we were presented with the regional award. And in New South Wales, Invite was one of a select group invited to attend the New South Wales Government Koala Summit. This year, we've delivered a range of projects protecting and preserving koala habitat throughout New South Wales and Queensland, with government, community and other like-minded not-for-profit organisations such as WWF and the Biodiversity Conservation Trust. In the Northern Rivers, we've been successful in securing in perpetuity private land conservation agreements over 740 hectares and across 14 properties. This is a fantastic result, and this was driven by Fiona and the team up there in the Northern Rivers group. So other conservation projects this year have assisted recovery of the endangered coastal emu, the southern pink underwing moth, and as I mentioned, Ian will talk to us about that one later in the meeting, and more than 28 threatened fauna and 30 threatened flora species in the big scrub lowland rainforest. This is just a very small snapshot of the very big impact that Invite's work has led this year. And they're led by a very talented team of ecologists and bush regenerators. Our long and successful history supporting people into employment continued in 23-24, with the Workforce Australia teams in South Brisbane and Gippsland supporting around 2,400 people into employment. And our transition to work team in the Latrobe Valley supported 524 young people through the program. This is a record for us in the Latrobe Valley. Our staff and employment services are passionate about the work they do and work incredibly hard to support our participants into sustainable, meaningful employment. So thank you to our staff for the work that you do every day to change people's lives for the better. Our valued partnership with Brotherhood of St Lawrence to deliver pilot program Inclusive Pathways to Employment, or IPE, has proven to be an important addition to our program suite. Young people with disability in the Latrobe Valley now have an employment program tailored to support their unique needs. The IPE program has also gifted us the opportunity to review our transition to work delivery to ensure we are providing tailored supports for young people with disability. There are many, many community organisations and employers across our network who play a very vital role in supporting the work that we do. We cannot do what we do alone. So I extend my heartfelt thanks to them for their partnership this year. Our Gippsland Engage mentoring program continues to grow from strength to strength, and this year was successful in securing a youth crime prevention funding grant for an additional 18 months. This is a testament to the work that they're doing supporting disadvantaged youth in the East Gippsland region. The Parents Next program unfortunately came to a close for Workways this year as we opted not to tender for the new program, Parent Pathways. Modelling against the proposed funding structure demonstrated that financial viability would be of concern to Workways, and as such we made the difficult but fiscally responsible decision not to retender. So thank you to the dedicated and talented team who delivered the Parents Next program for Workways in Logan. You did make a big difference to a great number of people. From an organisational perspective, Workways continues to invest in its most important asset, our people. We provided training and coaching for our current and emerging leaders, in addition to providing staff with accredited and micro-credentialed learning pathways through the Institute of Employability Professionals. We expanded our staff benefits program, including the introduction of accrued days off, or ADOs, and discount programs such as Flare and Benny. These are in addition to the existing benefits of salary packaging, novated leasing, employee assistance program, and many others. Our staff value the importance of giving back to community, and this year participated in events including Are You OK Day, Reconciliation Week, NAIDOC Week, and World Environment Day. Staff raised $645 for Movember, supporting men's health, and $1,512 for Go Pink Day, supporting breast cancer research. These are just two great examples of the efforts that were driven by our staff and positively supported across the business. As I wrap up today, I would like to acknowledge the impact of our outgoing CEO, Kieran Carney. And I know Russell has touched on this, but from the executive's perspective and our staff's perspective, Kieran joined Workways nearly 5 years ago, just as catastrophic bushfires hit many of our Workways regions, and only months prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. I don't think he knew what had hit him. So throughout much upheaval and transformative change, he has led with conviction, vision, and warmth, and has left Workways in a better place than he found it. Workways is blessed with a great team of people, a strong and committed board of management and executive, and a positive reputation in our communities. And it is with this strength that we look forward to the coming years ahead, delivering more services to more people in more communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Carly, for that address. I'll keep moving through into our resolutions. I've now got 2 resolutions to present. The first is that the report from the Chair on behalf of the Board for the financial year June 30th, 2024 be accepted. That was moved by Angela Hudson, seconded by Marlene Elliott, and all approved. The next motion is that the report from the Acting Chief Executive Officer for the financial year ended June 30th, 2024 be accepted. Again, moved by Angela Hudson, seconded by Jenny Semple. All in favour. I now move to the next resolution, which is the audited financial statements. Before moving the resolution, just a brief commentary. Carly has indicated, as have I in our reports, that it was a challenging year, a difficult year financially, but we're now moving on from it. Just to give a little bit of a quick background, one of the reasons for our financial result was that we moved away from the previous year from a DES contract that we were undertaking under the umbrella of COAC. This had a fairly significant impact on our revenue, and over the year our revenue dropped by some $12 million to just over $20 million. The deficit for the year of $3.9 million was as a result of some significant extraordinary costs, which again Carly referred to in her report. Those extraordinary costs amounted to more than $1.7 million, so very, very significant. So while equity this year has fallen to a little bit over $3.9 million, which is a significant drop, we do, however, retain significant cash reserves and other assets. The audited financial statements are unqualified, and our financial position is supported by our external auditors. So the full audited financial reports have been provided to all members prior to this meeting, and they will be lodged with the appropriate authorities of ACNC and ASIC at the completion of this AGM. So with those couple of comments in relation to the audited financial statements, I have a motion that the audited financial report for the year 30th of June 2024, together with the director's report and the independent audit report thereon, be accepted. That resolution was moved by Ross Morgan and seconded by Melanie Woodward, and all were in favour. So thanks for that. The next resolution, still on the financial, is the appointment of auditor. So we have a resolution to approve the appointment of external auditors RSM for the year ended 2025, so for a one-year term, at a cost of $75,000 excluding GST. This resolution was moved by John Webstale and seconded by Marlene Elliott, and again all were in favour. The next resolution is the appointment of company secretary. So the resolution is that the board recommends the appointment of Alison Lyle, who is our CFO, as company secretary. That was moved by John Webstale, seconded by Melanie Woodward, and again all in favour. We now come to the appointment of our new board director. But before doing so, I would like to very much acknowledge the contribution of Angela Hudson, who retires from our board as of today. Angela will be somewhere on the screen, I believe. I think I can see her sitting in amongst a group of other board members and staff somewhere in Bairnsdale, I think. So Angela has been on our board for some 10 years. And she's now completed a maximum of seven terms as a board member, which is allowed under our constitution. As such, she retires today. Angela, before that, also acted as an independent member of our Audit and Risk Committee, and that was prior to her election onto our board. During this time, Angela has chaired our Audit Risk Committee and has held the Deputy Chair position, and she's done both of those for a number of years throughout her tenure. She has seen many positive initiatives, but she's also seen many challenges during her tenure with Workways. At all times, Angela has been a very clear-thinking member of our board. She has displayed strong leadership, strong educational and risk skills. There are many other things I could probably say about Angela, but time probably does not permit that right at the minute. She has been a terrific member of our board who has really helped to lead from the front right through the 10 years that she's been a member. We will very much sorely miss Angela's contribution, and I can't go far enough in thanking her for a very, very significant contribution. So thank you very much, Angela, for what you've done. So moving on to, I should wave and thank you too. Moving on to the appointment of Dr. Peter Langkamp. So after an extensive search process, I'm pleased to welcome Peter to the Board of Directors. Peter brings extensive personal knowledge of both private and public sectors. He has held high-level positions at Shell Australia, the National Australia Bank, NRMA, Axiom, Callista Software Services, the National Disability Insurance Agency, and Bendigo Bank. He has been a strategic advisor for Accenture, specialising in disability, aged care and health sectors. Peter has served as President of Carers Australia, was Chair of Urella, and is currently Chair of the Disability Trust. The Board of Directors has previously approved the resolution to appoint Dr. Langkamp, and that resolution is that the Board of Workways endorse the appointment of Dr. Peter Langkamp as non-executive board member for a 3-year term commencing November 2024, or today. That was moved by Jenny Semple and seconded by Marlene Elliott, and again, all were in favour. So welcome, Peter, to the board. We look forward to working with you. It should be an enjoyable time with the conversations I've had with Peter so far leading into this. Okay, we're starting to get to the pointy end of the annual general meeting, so I'd like to introduce Ian Sink. Sorry, I've got to get that pronunciation correct. From Syche, sorry.
That's right.
From Envite Environment. So I welcome you, Ian. You've been working on a very important project in the northern New South Wales region to help restore habitat for the endangered pink underwing moth. In addition to Ian's skills and experiences in ecological restoration, he's also a very talented photographer and has been capturing the beauty of this elusive animal. Welcome very much, Ian. Look forward to your address.
Thank you, Russell. Hopefully this works. So should be seeing as a pink underwing moth sucking on a bit of fruit. Yes. Okay, so this is a southern pink underwing moth was listed nationally as endangered in 2002, when it was known from only 4 locations in southeastern Queensland, an outlying location over 300 kilometres south in Dorrigal National Park, New South Wales. So it's a large moth. It's got a wingspan of 14 centimetres. There's two subspecies are found on the subtropical rainforests of the east coast. The northern subspecies occurs in northeast Queensland, and the southern subspecies in southeast Queensland and northeast New South Wales. So you can see on this map, hopefully you can see this map. It shows the range of the moth, and it's only found when it's associated with the larva food plant Croniavine, so very limited food supply. So surveys undertaken in northern New South Wales between 2016 and 2021 found larvae in 63 of the 130 sites containing Croniavine. Environment restoration ecologist Georgia Bayer and Bush Generos have undertaken further surveys in 2023 and 2024 as part of the projects funded by the Australian Government to assist in the Threatened Species Program recovery. Dr. Sands, a retired ISO research scientist dedicated over 30 years to studying the lifestyle of the southern pink underwing moth and researching this unique species. So this research revealed that the Croniavine is a sole food plant, which is how we get this knowledge. And since the initial discovery of the Sunshine Coast hinterland, our understanding of southern pink underwing moth's distribution has expanded significantly. And the surveys conducted in 2023-24, larvae were discovered in an additional 12 big scrub rainforest remnants in northern New South Wales. Are you getting these images now?
It's coming.
Yes. Oh.
Can you see them now?
This is a
Yeah,
nice
looks
image
like
of
it
an
is,
egg.
man.
This one's an egg. So the breeding season of this moth occurs between October and April. That's what's been thought. Though interesting enough, this year we found eggs and all four of the 5 stages of instars in June. So previous things have been believed, and there's also a new site for our surveying up here. So it's been, yeah, there's always something new to learn. So eggs laid in small numbers, 1 or 2 eggs on the underside of a coronia vine leaf. And the life cycle spans approximately 80 days total. So we've got 8 days as an egg, 18 days as a larva, 25 days as a pupa, and 30 days as an adult. So it's pretty short in that sense. Second instars, this is after the first molt, so you can see the size of the first molt skin to how big the caterpillar is now. That's how big they grow in a molt when they go through those instar processes, and there's 5 in total before they pupate. The third instar, which is again quite a bit bigger, and the colorations change. You can take note of the yellow you can see around the 2 sort of eye spots here on the side of the body. They're gone when you get to the 4th instar. The colors have changed. It becomes far more sort of browns a lot more, and you can see a bit more pink coming through and a bit more transparent flesh. But at this stage, they can decimate a vine and actually eat all the leaves off it. So you do find those stalks in the bush as well. The 5th instar larva, as you can see here, hopefully, is a much paler. You can see pinks and golds coming through now with quite a transparent skin on it, but a very different looking larvae since, say, the earlier instars. So pretty stunning. And at 12 centimeters long, it's a big caterpillar. Now, when disturbed, the caterpillars also, this is what I suppose one of the most spectacular things about the caterpillars. When they produce a spectacular warning display, which deters predators, well, hopefully so, and it makes them look like they've got huge eyes and big teeth, and they flash this very quickly, hold it for a while, then flash it again as they get disturbed. Disturbance can be knocking the vine or touching a caterpillar, either way. So after 18 days, the larva seeks a suitable location to cocoon itself, wrapped up in leaves, for about 25 days before hatching out as an adult moth. So these cases, if you like, or leaves wrapped up, are quite big because they use a coronia vine leaf for it, or a large leaf. Green to start with, and in this case, you can see in this photo, it's gone brown because it's died, but quite a big pupa to find. But that's the only one I've ever actually seen. Because you do see caterpillars quite high up and the moths are more a canopy moth, it's quite likely most of the pupae stages are higher up in the trees. The southern pink underwing moth's sole food source we mentioned is the coronia vine, and you can see here a few of the pictures of the leaves, but also the flowers. So it's both a male plant and a female plant, and this is the only food source, so quite limited. The best locations to find the moths are on the vines within large thickets, as you can see in this picture, under the canopy. Quite a distinctive elbow on the leaf for identification, but some of the vines, when they're mature, are extremely big, and you start getting suckers popping up out along the rainforest floor, growing from these vines, which are extending along quite a major root system. Adult moths feed on the rotting or damaged fruit still hanging from the tree, so quite different to a closely or a related taxonomy species as well, which I'll go into in a minute. So this image shows an adult moth, southern pink underwing moth, feeding on a damaged fruit of introduced rose apple. So they're interesting because they feed on the damaged fruit while it's still hanging up in the trees, not rotted fruit on the rainforest floor. So quite different. So the adults are actually really seen because they are a canopy species more often than not. They have stunning colour in the hind wings, but you can see where the outer wing here is quite well camouflaged. When that's closed, it just looks like a bit of dead leaf or an insect scar on a tree. So it does make it hard to find. Also, the moths aren't attracted to light. So very difficult to trap in a normal method, which is light traps. That doesn't really work for these moths. So we use bait balls, using nice things like mangoes, ripe or damaged or bruised, hanging, because you can't just put them on the ground. But this generally attracts these, which is a southern fruit piercing moth. Very similar, again, another very large moth, 14 centimeter wingspan, but it's orange in the underwings instead of pink. So project sites are areas of high biodiversity and conservation significance where the host plant coronia vine occurs. So surveys focus on going around these vines and checking under the leaves, on the stems, occasionally on top of the leaves, for the caterpillars. So most of the last 2 seasons, the survey results undertaken during the breeding seasons across the 32 big scrub rainforest sites were the work of Georgia Bayer. These sites include Nightcap National Park, Big Scrub Rainforest Remnants, and the National Parks and State Forest of Billingen and Cross Harbour region. It pays to look up as well as down. So this is from a night survey walk. This is 4 meters above our heads. So you can see in the center there, that's a large 5th instar. So not that far off from actually pupating, which is why I was saying that quite a few of those pupays, far more than what we've come across, could be much higher up the trees where the caterpillars then head up towards before they pupate as a moth feeding up in those canopies. So surveying for the moth larvae, of course, in coronavirus requires a lot of this, as I said, checking under on top of the leaves. And this is what we hope to find when we're searching, and it can go through whole remnants and see none at all, of course, even in that time of year. And as I said, they're not always on or near coronia vines. So you need to look down when you're walking in a bush too, because they can be part of the strategy for the southern fruit piercing moth is when the vines or the trees are tapped, disturbed, the caterpillars drop. And it may be something that a pink underwing does as well, which is why we found quite large caterpillars in an area where there's no vines at all. You can see vines off to the side, but that's not a coronia vine species. And these may easily have dropped from a canopy vine. So something the pink underwing moth does, we know it does flash its hind wing, that's hence the color of the pink. This is an example of what the southern fruit piercing moth does in flashing its orange coloration. So quite a effective, very fast deterrent from predation. So hopefully it works. So like many threatened species, habitat loss and degradation have contributed to the threat of extinction. Habitat restoration of southern pink underwing moth also assists the recovery of rainforest habitat for many other endangered flora and fauna, animals, plants, and as such has become a flagship species for rainforest restoration. In the first stage of the project, rainforest restoration works were implemented over 500 hectares across 12 sites. Now, in the current stage, where the area is actually receiving the follow-up of bush regen works, of course, and expanding new sites in the Cross Harbour region. So intact rainforest canopies provides that low light condition that are required, it really is required to provide suitable breeding conditions for the moth and also growing conditions for the vine. So when you get degradation of rainforest by weed invasion, it can result in the habitat being unsuitable for both the vine and for the breeding of the underwing moth. The Australian government funding for the threatened species will assist in recovery of the southern pink underwing moth and 28 other threatened species through reducing the threat of weeds and assisting regeneration of rainforest habitat across 38 sites and 606 hectares in northern New South Wales. So 30 in the northern area of that, and 8 which is in the southern area, which is down in Bellingen. Now, southern pink underwing moth, as I said, is actually a bit of taxonomy related to the southern fruit piercing moth, but which is very different. The caterpillars in the southern fruit piercing moth are hugely variations of colors, even on the same vine. They use the coronia vine as a food plant as well, but they do use things like arrowhead vine as well. So restored habitat will assist the population of southern pink underwing moth to increase and help prevent extinction. Incredibly important, and of course something we really enjoy doing. So thanks for having me talk, and I hope you saw some images and it worked to some degree. Otherwise, I'm sure they can be available in the Workways online, so it's worth a read. There's more information, of course, and it's just good to know these sort of things and what to look for.
Thank you very much, Ian. I presume I just saw you finishing. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much for a really informative address and the work that you're doing with that endangered pink underwing moth, and just incredible photographs.
Oh, thanks, Natalie, for
quite
your
amazing.
work too.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Terrific.
Thanks, Russell.
So look, before closing the meeting, I'll just check with Natalie. Are there any questions that we need to deal with, Natalie, at this stage?
In the meantime, Russell, no questions in the Q&A to address today.
Okay, thanks very much, Natalie. All right, well, look, In closing our AGM, I'd like to thank everyone who has participated and attended. Particularly want to thank Adriana and Ian for their really informative addresses. Our full annual report has been published on our website for further information for those who would like to see that. So then in closing the meeting, again, I would really like to acknowledge our hardworking staff. It's been terrific, the work that they do, along with the leadership of the EMT. We at the board very much support and acknowledge the work that you do. You continue to be exemplary and enable people to develop their potential and contribute to the society, which is the main pillar of our mission, of course. So thank you everyone for your attendance. Look forward to moving onwards and upwards with a bit better year next year. So thanks very much, and I'll close the meeting. Thank you.